In the bustling hub of the city lived a man named Darren, leading a double life. By day, he was an ordinary civil engineer, wrangling with civil 3D and calculations. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, he transformed into a different being, a lead guitarist, who could make his instrument weep and laugh, sing and roar. His guitar was not merely an instrument for him, it was his other self, his confidant in the shadows of the night. The magic that Darren could weave with his music was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Each melody he created was a revelation, a glimpse into the wonders he could compose. But just as he could create beauty, he could also destroy, his darker tunes conjuring up musical nightmares that echoed his own deepest fears. However, Darren's journey was not a smooth ride. It was riddled with internal turmoil. It was a constant battle between his passion for music and his darker desires. His music was his sanctuary, a place where he could express his deepest emotions, his most intimate desires. But the shadows also harbored his fears, his doubts, and his dark desires. He was a man trapped in the endless cycle of creation and destruction, love and fear, light and darkness. His performances were an embodiment of this internal struggle. On stage, he was a charismatic presence, his fingers dancing across the strings of his guitar, creating a symphony that held the audience spellbound. But offstage, he was a man lost in his own world, a world of melodies and harmonies that both comforted and tormented him. The light and the shadows, the engineer and the musician, the creator and the destroyer. They were all facets of the same man, Darren. A man who had built wonders and destroyed individuals, his soul echoing with the haunting melody of his guitar. Darren had always been drawn to music, even as a child. He felt a connection to the melodies and lyrics that transcended words and logic. When he learned to play guitar after blowing out his knee in football, he dreamed of becoming a songwriter, a poet of sound and emotion. But fate had other plans for him. He was gifted with a brilliant mind and a talent for destruction. He excelled in his studies and earned a scholarship to Ohio Northern University. He also learned the strength and discipline of taking care of his body playing defensive end. He was recruited by a top firm and became a successful civil engineer. He had everything he ever wanted, or so he thought. But there was a dark side to his success, a side that he kept hidden from everyone, even himself, a side that was slowly consuming him, driving him to the edge of madness. He had a secret hobby, a dangerous obsession. He used his engineering skills to create devices of death and destruction. He planted bombs, triggered fires, and caused accidents. He killed innocent people just for the thrill of it. He called himself the engineer, and he left behind clues in his songs. He taunted the authorities, daring them to catch him. He enjoyed the game, the challenge, the risk. But he was not the only one playing. There was someone else, someone who knew his secrets, someone who wanted to stop him, someone who was just as smart, just as ruthless, just as twisted, someone who was closer to him than he ever imagined. This is the story of a man who lived a double life, a man who was torn between two passions, a man who faced his ultimate nemesis. This is the story of Darren, the civil engineer who became a serial killer. This is the story of the engineer, the master of music and murder. His strength was not just in his mind, but also in his body. Darren, the engineer, was once a defensive end in college football. Through rigorous strength training, he honed his physical prowess. But this power was not used to protect, but to harm. In the shadow of his double life, he used his strength to fuel his madness.